Welcome to episode 135 of the Guardian 1 podcast. We record live Thursdays at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 Eastern, right here on twitch.tv/Guardian 1 Network. My name is Remy, and tonight I'm joined by Jez.
Good morning.
Agrios.
Greetings, Guardians.
Sharks.
The hype train's still going.
Gray.
Good evening, everybody.
And returning champion Parris.
Hey, thanks for having me back. I really appreciate it.
We're going to be talking about all things Destiny, but first, housekeeping.
Hello, Guardians. Thank you for listening to the podcast, however it is that you are choosing to listen. Be sure to follow Guardian 1 on Twitter at G1net. That's G1NET. In addition, be sure to check out the Guardian 1 website at guardian1.net. If you want to send us an email, you can send it to feedback@guardian1.net. We also have a Bungie.net forums group. We utilize the forums for both comments and feedback, so be sure to join the conversations going on there. Big thank you to all those currently in the Twitch chat. As Remy said at the top of the podcast, you can watch the show live at twitch.tv/Guardian1Network. We broadcast every Thursday at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific. If you can't catch the live show, you can always find the podcast on iTunes, as well as upload it to the Guardian 1 YouTube channel at youtube.com/Guardian1Network. Guardian 1 is a proud member of the Guardian Radio Network, so be sure to check out the Guardian Radio Network website at theguardiansofdestiny.com. There you'll find all of the different podcasts as part of the network, including the flagship podcast Guardian Radio. They broadcast every Monday night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Pacific on twitch.tv/Guardian Radio. You can also follow their Twitter account at Guardians of D and their YouTube channel, youtube.com/Guardians of D. Other podcasts that are part of the Guardian Radio Network include Ghosts and Echoes, a podcast that contains a bit of fan fiction and audio versions of the Grimoire cards, as well as the Destiny lore-focused podcast called Focus Fire Chat. Once again, thanks for joining us on the podcast. I'll see you again next week.
Thank you very much, Hollow River. So last week, this time, there was a reveal of Destiny 2, and it was amazing. There was a lot of action going on. And today, we're very lucky to have Parris from Gamertag Radio, who was there to play hands-on, and we're going to pick his brain and find out what he thought. Parris, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. It's been a crazy week, man. It's been a crazy last 7 days with all this Destiny 2 stuff going on, but I'm good. How are you guys doing tonight?
It's going to be a good show. It's going to be a good show. Either because I lived through it or because I don't live through it.
Right.
You'll have to stick around to the end to find out. So, man, let's just get right into it. It's 7 days of here is no Destiny 2 information, and here is a ton of Destiny 2 information. I think what I'd like to start off with, Parris, if you don't mind, is I'd like you to describe to us the atmosphere and the venue. Like when you went there, what did it feel like? What was the overall feeling that you got from it?
The overall feeling that I got was just positive. Just everyone was so positive and happy to be there, obviously, because they got a lot of people from the Destiny community and some of the top, streamers and podcasters and that type of stuff in the media. But just overall, just the vibe that was at this event was just overwhelmingly positive and just one of excitement. If you want me to describe the venue, they did it at the Jet Center out in Hawthorne, California, and it was like 2 aircraft hangars. and you walk in, and they had when you first walk in, you have the red carpet, but then they had the main stage where, you know, Luke Smith and everyone was doing the talk during the reveal. And then you walk into the second hangar, and then that's where they had all the game stations where you could play on PS4, on PC, and then they had a lot like the first thing you see is they had a big replica of the Traveler right there in the middle of the room, and then around it they had a life-size version of a Warlock. Got to say Warlock first, Titan, and a Hunter, you know, present, and everyone's camera phone came out immediately, just starting to take photos of all this stuff. Like I said, it was just exciting time. It was just because, you know, everyone's been anticipating this game. We've known it's like been the dirty secret for so long that Destiny 2 was coming. So to finally actually be there when they were revealing it, Luke Smith is on stage showing off that trailer, and then they go into gameplay, and just everyone in the crowd was just electric and so excited about what they were seeing, and they were cheering. I'm sure you guys watched the Twitch reveal. To be in the crowd when all that was happening was almost surreal in a way.
Absolutely. And so what would you say? So you didn't see it the way we saw it, and we didn't see it the way you saw it. Did I say that same thing? Anyways, how did it differ from when you were there to when you were watching the reveal at home? I imagine that you also watched it again just to make sure that you got all your notes straight and were beginning to make videos.
Well, it was interesting. Yeah, it was interesting watching on Bungie's official YouTube channel. They took out all the crowd reactions, like when the videos were playing, when the gameplay was going. So you didn't hear the cheers. Like you didn't hear the crowd erupt when Zavala does the Titan strike. You know what I mean? Or you don't hear the crowd erupt when, you know, you're going after Ikora around, you know, going looking for the speaker, and you see the sweeper bot and everyone goes crazy. Or when we finally open that frickin' door in the tower and we see what's on the other side of it, everyone was going crazy over that. They took all that, stripped all that out. So I actually went and watched the Twitch stream, so that I'm like, were we really cheering during all this stuff? And then sure enough, you hear it on there. So that would probably be the biggest difference.
That's cool. That's really cool. Yeah, I know that I was also cheering from my couch. All that was really exciting. I like the way they dramatized the whole thing. Like Zavala putting his shield out, and then like him being pushed back by the force of the missiles hitting his shield.
Yeah,
that was fantastic. Or like when you were saying Ikora Ray, you came around the corner and she sees that enemy vehicle, and she's like, "You will not get any mercy from me today." And then she rides it off the edge of the over the edge of. That's so cool. There was so many parts that really stood out to me as, yes, these are the things that I want to see. These are the heroic deeds that I want to remember when I'm looking at this. Okay, so I want to ask you about, did you meet anyone notable from the community that maybe you knew you might see or knew that you might not see?
I mean, where do I start? I guess if you give me a little room, I'll tell this story, because this is probably the coolest thing as far as meeting someone that I didn't know previously from the community and making a connection with them. So Pope Bear, I've known Pope Bear for a while. This was actually the first time we met face to face. So we had been texting back and forth. This is the Wednesday night before the event, and he's like, "Hey, we got to meet up. There's a couple people I want you to meet. You know, we'll go meet someplace and have dinner." And we're going back and forth. And then finally I show up to where thinking, 5 or 6 people is going to be there. And it was funny. I get to the restaurant. I had Danny, who's also on Gamertag Radio. He was out here for another event. We went together with a couple other friends. We show up at the restaurant. Pope Bear comes out. You know, we hug it out and everything, because it was the first time we actually met face to face. And he's like, "Hey, I don't want it to be awkward or anything, but word got out about this dinner. There's now like 35 people here already, right?" So I walk in, and I swear half the room I knew. Like, you see all the people from the Destiny Community Podcast, just all these people, these Twitch personalities that I'm like, "Oh yeah, I know those guys, right? I've seen them online." And then I saw True Vanguard there as well. And the thing about it was there were so many people, we didn't want to feel like we were crashing the event. So I told Pope, nah, we're not going to hang around. We're going to leave. But I tell him, I see True Vanguard, who I've watched his PvP videos, forever, because he's helped me to become a better PvP player, my son and I. And I tell Pope Bear, I'm like, hey, I don't want to bug him. He's eating dinner. I go, but I would love if you could do like a little introduction between me and him, because I'd love to talk to him. And I was like, don't do it now because I don't want to bug him. And then he's like, dude, you'll see him at the event tomorrow. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. I'll see him at the event tomorrow. Don't worry about it. I leave. Well, I get up the next morning. All of a sudden, my Twitter feed has blown up and True Vanguard followed me. And I'm like, wait, why did he follow me? And then sure enough, it's because Pope Bear said something to him that night. And he's like, hey, I would love to, if I see you at the event, let's meet up, let's talk. So then sure enough, I go down to the lobby to go pick up my badge that morning to go to the event. True Vanguards are sitting down there. He sees me, I see him. We immediately get up. Hey, handshake, do the whole intro thing. We start talking and we like really hit it off. And then we wind up going to breakfast because we had some time to kill. So we're sitting there at breakfast, continue talking, whole thing, talking about the game, family, all that. Well, he winds up buying me breakfast, which I completely was not expecting at all. That was just so cool that he would do something like that. And then, like I said, we really hit it off. And then, with the coverage that I had, I actually got him on for an interview, and I got to talk to him about PvP and everything on my show. But it was just the craziest thing. Here's a guy that I had been watching for like 2 years, I'm basically admiring from afar. And then we made like this connection, and we, like I said, we really hit it off, and whole thing was great. And I would just say overall, that was the common theme while I was there. Is everybody was so friendly, so approachable. There was none of this. Well, like even more console. Like I met more console. It was like really quick because he was busy. But it's like none of these top people in the community were too big or too busy to spend a few minutes to talk to people that approach them or talk to them or do things like that. So, I mean, it was, like I said, I've never been a part of a gaming community that's been this way, where you don't see any vitriol or jealousy or just any of that stuff that you see in some of these other gaming communities. Everything was 100% positive that day at that event. And that was my biggest takeaway.
That's fantastic. That's really fantastic. I've been following True Vanguard for a while, and I really want to get him on the show because, like you're saying, he's helped you with your PvP, he's helped your son. When I watched through his videos, like I basically had to binge watch them because as I became a better PvP player, I started noticing certain things, and I started to adhere to certain ideas about how to play and when to do what. And for the longest time, I wanted to make a set of videos like that would be for someone who is ready to make that next step to becoming a better PvP player. And his videos are those videos that I want to make, talking about radar awareness and everything that he does is so fantastic. That's a great story. I got to meet More Console before Destiny launched. I got invited down to a meet and greet. It was like a nighttime party before Destiny came out. I got to hang out with him and Datto, and you're right. Everybody in this community they're not worried about ego. They're not worried about looking cool. They are very, very approachable, just really great people. And the community overall is exactly like that. Certainly there is people, anytime you go to the internet, there's going to be negativity, but for the most part, the Destiny community is filled with a bunch of really great people. That's really cool. Okay, next question is, did you get to meet anyone from Bungie that you didn't plan on meeting or didn't think you might meet? Or, and same question, but from Bungie.
Okay, so again, give me a little room on this one. So I'm sitting, and this is in the main area of the hangar. I was kind of in between appointments at the time, and I'm sitting with a friend of mine, fellow journalist, and we're just sitting there just killing time. And I tell him, hey, you know what? I'm going to go get a drink. Watch my bag. Had all my recording equipment, everything in the bag. Just watch my bag. I'm going to be right back. So I get up, and I'm walking to go get a drink. Now, there's an area where all the Bungie people were doing their interviews, like Luke Smith, Mark Noseworthy, and all that. And PR would, grab people, walk them back. So there's this outside area with these two couches. I'm walking towards that area to go get a drink, and I see Deej. Deej sees me. And Deej is like, "Oh, hey, Parris, I'm so glad I'm so glad I got to run into you. I was hoping you'd be here, blah, blah, blah. Hey, sit down. Let's talk." Great. Let's talk to Deej. So I'm talking to Deej. Less than a minute later, Pete Parsons walks up, studio head of Bungie. He walks up, he sits down. Deej does a whole intro thing. Deej, great job. Dude's a wordsmith. He introduces me to Pete Parsons. I'm talking to Pete Parsons, and in my head, I'm like, oh my God, I'm talking to Pete Parsons. This is amazing. I swear to you, minute later, some guy just runs over and just jumps on the couch and sits right next to me on my left. I look, it's Jason Jones, founder of Bungie. So now I'm in a conversation with Deej, Pete Parsons, Jason Jones. We're talking about Destiny, the launch, everything that they liked about it, what they didn't like about it, what I like, what I didn't like, all these things. We're just having a conversation. We're talking about our kids, everything. Amazing conversation. Deej has to go to appointment, so now he has to get up and leave. So I say goodbye to Deej. I'm now talking to Pete Parsons and Jason Jones, basically one-on-one. And in my head, I'm like, oh my God, I don't have my recorder. But at the same time, Jason Jones would have never sat down next to me if I had a mic in my hand. You know what I mean? So we're now just having a casual conversation like three adults. And it's not this whole thing about, oh, well, what's the frame rate on the PS4 Pro? We're not talking about any of that stuff. We're just talking about what this game has done to brought people together, and how Bungie sees it from internally and how I see it from the outside. So at a certain point, I realized I might be talking to these guys too long. I don't want them to feel like they're trapped. So I just hit the eject button. I got up and I got out of there, thanked them, and I'm like, cool. But that was probably the coolest moment I had at the event, that I'm sitting there talking to people that I've been watching. I mean, God, when did Halo come out? 2001 or whatever. That's when Bungie first got on my radar, that I've been watching these guys that long. And here they are, and we're talking about this game that they're about to put out in 2017. So it was a great honor, and it was very humbling to be able to talk to them. And the fact that they're just real people, and it wasn't a thing of, again, they didn't have time to just talk to a regular guy like me, and it was a very casual conversation. I loved it. Oh, and Jason Jones secretly plays Destiny with people and doesn't tell them who he is. Does it all the time. That was one of the funny things that he was talking about during that. He's done raid strikes, everything, trials, everything with people, and they have no idea who they're playing with.
That's cool. That's really cool. I also got to meet Jason Jones at that activity that I was telling you about previously, and I was bummed to find out that he wasn't the project lead on this.
Right.
But I feel like whatever he's doing, it's awesome wherever he is. So excellent. Well, then I'm going to hand you off for the rest of these these people, and I'm going to go. I think I'm going to go throw up. So I'll talk to you guys soon.
All right, I'll talk to you later.
Gray, you got the show.
Feel better.
All right, so my first question for you, Parris. I'm sure that you had a lot of ideas of what Destiny 2 is going to be before you got to get your hands on the game. So I kind of want to know just a little snippet of what you thought the game was that changed in your mind when you actually had it in your hands and you got to play it.
That's a loaded question, because, it's funny. They actually ticked a lot of the boxes that I thought they were going to do with Destiny 2. I honestly, the biggest shock to me is PvP. Just the changes that they made on the PvP side. I guess going back to answer your question, I thought Destiny 2 would be, the Cabal is going to come in, they're going to destroy the tower, we're going to scatter across Earth and maybe some other planets. They'd introduce NPCs into the game. We'd start getting various quests and things from them. I was thinking we'd start seeing maybe some dynamic missions come from that, to basically that be a way to keep content flowing, because you're not just simply doing the same patrols over and over again. Like I said, I expected, a whole new weapon set, new gear. I honestly expected all the subclasses to change. I didn't think we'd get anything to come back from Destiny 1. I thought everything would be completely changed as far as that goes. I was expecting vehicles to be added to the game, and I was expecting an in-game LFG. That would have been the other big thing. So my expectations versus what we got. Oh, and I expected it to be quasi open world. That'd be the other thing, going to these planets. So what we got was pretty close to what I expected. Like I said, the biggest shock for me was the changes to PvP, and then the fact that they changed up the weapon slots, that now it's kinetic, energy, and power. I wasn't expecting that. I figured, all right, we got, our primary, our special, and heavy. I didn't expect that to change at all. You know what I mean? So the fact that we were getting one new subclass per character, but then the other two that are returning have been modified slightly, I find interesting. I'm obviously excited about what they're doing with guided games, but the thing that has probably shocked me the most, and this really comes from a conversation I had with Steve Cotton, the world designer lead, after the event, was the lost sectors and the new treasure maps, because he was very specific when he said to me that was very underplayed at the reveal. They're a lot bigger and a lot more meaningful than we realize today. And they're obviously going to talk about that more during the summer. So my hope with lost sectors and these treasure maps is they're not static, that they do dynamically change over time. So we're always left guessing. We're always left to go explore. And the fact that, yeah, we will encounter NPCs out in the wild, so to speak, and they're going to be giving us their own specific quests and things like that. It's really making patrol exciting again. And, I had that interview with Mark Noseworthy, and he kind of touched on it a little bit as well. But getting away from just once you've done patrol once, you've done it 10,000 times. So hopefully it gets switched up, and they're introducing new changes to that constantly. I think that will go a long way to keeping the game and the content fresh, moving forward.
That sounds excellent. I am super excited for that. Sharks, let's go to you, sir. What question do you have for our special guest, Parris?
Well, okay, so I'm curious what your thoughts are on how the game feels, how it looks, and what they've tweaked in your perspective, that you've had, actual feeling what it's like to play the game. Do you think that they've changed enough in the game for, these people that have played hours and hours and hours to make it feel like a different game?
It feels and plays like Destiny, but it has enough that's changed that you're like, okay, we got a little upgrade. I feel like with the new weapons, they felt different enough. Like, I can give you a perfect example. When I went into the PvP the first time, and God, if you watch that video I put out, I freaking stink. But when I first go in and I'm using the scout rifle, I know how a scout rifle works in Destiny. So I'm coming around the corner expecting to get my shots off the way I expect a scout rifle to work. It was a lot slower than I thought. And I'm like, oh, wait, this is different. Basically, auto rifles, they felt different yet familiar. Again, if that makes sense. Graphically, I felt that, yep, this looks like Destiny, but then you start to see a little bit with the particle effects, the lighting, just, again, the sound. The sound is they changed a lot of the way the weapons sound, the way a lot of your super sound. There's a lot of little things that have changed now, and for the better, in my opinion. Like the tower, that opening scene, it's the destruction of the tower. Yep, it's the tower, but if you really look at it, it's been upgraded, so to speak. Visually, it looks a lot better than the tower that we see today in Destiny 1. When I did that strike on Nessus, yeah, it's still a strike. It still works fundamentally like a strike does, but now they've made the world seem bigger. Like, it felt like I was in this huge place as I'm going through that strike. You know what I mean? You're looking around. There's a lot of things you probably couldn't go to if you wanted to, but they gave you that illusion of, yep, if I wanted to go there, I could probably go there right now, kind of thing. So that's, again, why I'm very curious how patrol's going to work now when we're out in the wild. Like, are we really going to be able to explore and not just be stuck on the static path, with basically like the Cosmodrome, where you're just doing this loop, around that world. Like, we're going to be able to just, again, go off the beaten path, which was kind of the original message of Destiny when they first tried to sell it to us back in 2013. So, it's familiar enough, and I get why people are saying, oh, Destiny 1.5, but I think you kind of got to look a little deeper that they're doing something. And again, we don't have to go to orbit anymore if we want to go somewhere. Just those little type of things. They're quality of life improvements, which, they had to upgrade that engine. There's things they had to fix from Destiny 1, which I understand why it isn't just an expansion and they're literally saying it's Destiny 2, because from what I got to see in my limited exposure, there's a lot under the hood there that people just probably aren't going to be able to see, in a 20-minute reveal.
Right. Now, what about your thoughts on what, could be thought of as little changes, but in reality, they're actually big changes on like supers and grenades and stuff, the slowdown of it, stopping basically this tier 12 build that everybody has been, going after over and over and over. And then, of course, not just the slow of the supers, but the slow of the Guardians themselves. What are your whole thoughts on movement and powers now?
Well, again, like I mentioned, when my first match of PvP, I'm like, wait a minute. Why didn't my sticky grenade just kill that guy? Why didn't it's like you're asking yourself these questions. This isn't working the way that I expect it to work. So once you get past those first couple matches, it starts to click for you. Like, even if you watch that crappy video I put out of my PvP capture,
it's not that bad. It's not that bad.
Well, it is to me, because I'm like, oh god, I seriously didn't even want to release it. I'm like, I'm gonna get ripped to shreds on the internet, but if you look at the last couple rounds, it started to click. Like, I started to understand how it worked, and I started to get kills and I was doing a little better. But the point I'm trying to make is, like when I talked to True Vanguard, he's kind of the first one that pointed this out to me, that they're shifting PvP to be more weapons focus versus abilities and nades focus. So what's happening now is your grenades and your abilities have to be used in a very tactical way. They're basically a support weapon. So again, say I do stick someone with a grenade, I'm not going to kill them. I'm going to have to clean that up with my weapon now. It's more about, and again, with them changing the weapon slots, they want more one-on-one primary kinetic battles versus these everything in PvP right now is a one-shot kill. Let's just be honest, right? So they're trying to get away from that. The time to kill has been lengthened, so you're going to have longer engagements now, and you can't just get a shotgun and just go crazy with it. It's a power weapon now, so you're going to have to be smart about getting your power ammo and when to use it. And you have to ask the question now: do I want to equip a shotgun? Do I want to equip a sniper? Or do I want a grenade launcher? Do I want a rocket launcher? Do I want a machine gun? You're going to have to make choices now in PvP. And it does affect your loadouts. It does affect the way that you're going to approach encounters now. Obviously, we have to understand map placement and where you want to be. And you have to understand where the power ammo is going to drop, things like that. And that's now why they put that in the UI. You can see when someone has their super ready. You can see when someone has popped their super. You can see when someone has heavy ammo now. You can see, where they picked it up from. They're giving you all this visual data now in your UI grid so that you can better communicate with your teammates. So like I said, I understand the outrage, and I have it too, because trust me, I don't want 4v4 locked for all modes. I still want 2v2. I still want 3v3. I want 6v6 control, things like that. But I do understand why they've gone to this approach, because look, I may not 100% agree with the way Mark Noseworthy put it, that they're going to teach people PvP by making it 4v4. But I understand the point of slowing down PvP and making it more tactical. Now, everyone's not going to love that. And everyone's not going to embrace it, which again goes back to why I'm talking about lost sectors and treasure maps and all that. I truly think they're making PvP, just like they said, for PvP people.
Yep.
But for the vast majority, they're making Destiny 2 a co-op PvE experience. You know, again, why Guided Games is coming in, why Lost Sectors is coming in, why they're doing the treasure maps, why we have the strikes, the raid, etc. They want people doing more co-op experiences versus everyone just plays PvP because we don't have any PvE content to consume anymore. That's
Right.
the direction I think they're going with it.
There's a lot of stuff that anger people. I mean, even myself, I was in the boat that I wasn't so sure about 4v4. I'm still not, but I mean, we talked about this last week. You know, it's basically it's Bungie going the route of what they originally did with Halo. With 4, the power ammo is basically what they used to do with snipers and heavy weapons back then too. So it's going to be very interesting to see. I'm excited to get my hands on it at E3 and really test it out. And then, of course, by then the build is going to be different because somebody was talking about just, I think it was yesterday or today, that this is like a 6-month-old build. So, you know, that's a lot of changes that have happened in a probably in a very, very long period of time. But I mean, in short periods of time when they're building stuff, it really changes. I'm going to stop asking questions for a second and give somebody else a chance. So Jez, it's to you.
Okay, so I finally caught up on your show. Like I listen infrequently because I don't have a lot of podcast time. It's usually filled with like stupid shows, like like Adventure Zone and D&D and stuff like that. But I noticed that you said that you were playing with math class guys and you were intimidated by it or nervous.
Well, again, because it's like, hey, these are the guys, like they do world first and all this stuff. And honestly, it was fine. This is just my own social anxiety kicking in as I'm doing it. Because Pope Bear, bringing him up again, he invited me to do a raid and some of the math class guys were in there. And man, it was a great experience. I mean, it was fun. It was just interesting hearing them talk strategy and tactics and things like that. I'm like, well, wait, I never thought of that before. Oh, maybe I should start doing that too, kind of thing. But no, it was fine. It was cool.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring it up because it's a weird perspective hearing people say that people think we are elite or good in a way when half of us are really weird.
Right. Well, I think, again, it's the reputation.
Yeah.
The reputation precedes you. So from me on the outside looking in, that was the perception. It's like, oh, man, this is the elite of the elite, man. Don't screw up, you know?
Yeah. So what I really want to ask, though, is how much do you think the guided games part of Destiny 2 is going to help people, like, work with people they would never play with before? Like, do you think that people are going to use that and it's going to be an outstanding success in the community?
I think it's either going to be a huge success or a disaster. I don't think there's any middle ground when it comes to that. Obviously, I hope it's success. I think the fact that they're going to reward clans for basically participating in doing guided games, and you're going to get, I don't know what the rewards are going to be, but there's going to be your incentive. There's going to be a ranking system, all that type of stuff. It has the potential for being huge, for being a person that doesn't have a clan or has never done the raid. Because, I mean, that statistic they put out about the raid is crazy. And that's really 50% is only 50% of people that got to level 40. There's a ton of people that didn't even get to level 40 that didn't get to do stuff like that. So I just think, again, it makes the game more social. It brings people together. It gets some random person that you don't know onto your fire team, and you go do a nightfall or you do trials or a raid or whatever, and they get to learn the mechanics, and now they understand how to do it. Now they can go be the Sherpa one day, or they join your clan or whatever. I just think it, like I said, not to keep repeating myself, I just think it's a huge opportunity if it works the way they expect it to, but you never know with the internet, that it's going to just get more people actually doing cooperative things together in Destiny 2, which, you know, is a good thing. And you don't have to leave the game, because right now, as we all know, you have to leave the game if you want, if you don't have a fire team, you go to Reddit or LFG.net or even Bungie.net, to do these things.
I think it might have been the smartest way to introduce an LFG type system without completely having people complain, oh, I got match made with all these horrible people, I'm not even going to bother anymore type of stuff.
Agreed.
That's it. I don't know who's not asked a question.
I see someone asking me in the chat if I got to try the SMG. Yes, I did. I tried an exotic one. I tried a legendary one. And let me tell you this, and I was doing this in the strike, which, real quick, I did not get to capture my strike footage because I would have missed my Mark Noseworthy interview if I did, because there was like a 90-minute wait. So I just played it without being able to capture it. But to tell the story, the SMG feels great. I love how I kind of had this harmony of I'm using like a pulse rifle or scout rifle mid-range, and as I'm closing in, I then would switch to the SMG, to clean up close encounters, and then I would back off and I'm using mid-range again. You know what I mean? Kind of that back and forth thing. So I think that's going to be a great way that people are going to be able to use that. And here's the cool thing that no one got to do at the event. It is technically possible to have an SMG in your kinetic slot and in your energy slot. So Mark Noseworthy even hinted at there's going to be unique ways to use weapons. So I know kind of thing that's been going around this week is, could we see dual wielding come back? I hope so. I think that would be pretty cool to see.
That'd be interesting. An exotic SMG that's like, well, this is in the energy slot. You can use an SMG in your primary slot.
Yep.
At the same time. So Agrios looks pretty interested. What have you got for Parris?
Did exotics feel exotic?
That, and you actually can see that in my PvP capture I did on YouTube. I was using the auto rifle exotic, and it was kind of like that minigun, like I was Jesse Ventura in Predator. And yeah, that thing kicked butt. I like that. It was really good. And then, like I said, I had that SMG exotic, and it was in my energy slot. And it was a bullet hose, man. It was tearing through stuff. So yeah, I would say exotic stuff still felt exotic.
Now, I've heard you talk a lot of pros and cons of different things. What do you let's get a little negative for a minute. What do you what is the worst thing for you? What do you absolutely hate the most so far?
For Destiny 2?
Yeah.
We're talking about Destiny 2. What am I saying? I mean, it's the PvP. It's the 4v4. I don't like that. I don't like that they're locking that mode in. That would probably be the biggest knock that I have right now against what I saw. The strike that I played, I mean, I thought that was fine. The campaign stuff seemed fine. The weapons felt fine to me. I really don't have any complaints from the other stuff that I played. And honestly, I don't have a complaint once I got the feel of PvP. I don't think it's the changes that they've made to PvP just, on a fundamental level. I think it's that they're not going to allow us to choose what type of player count we're going to have. They're basically saying 8 players all the time, no matter what you think. And
I couldn't agree more.
And they would not talk. And this is actually a conversation I had with Jason Jones and Pete Parsons. It's like, sure, you could bring custom matches back and we potentially could do it there. But now I need to gather. It's just me playing against my friends. I still like the unknown of doing matchmaking with these modes. So I still want that. So I won't say who said it, but someone from Bungie said to me that, they want to introduce this now and see how the reaction is to the community, because in a way, Noseworthy is right. They want to teach PvP basically to the entire Destiny community. But if we're vocal and we say we don't like it, they're going to change it. And a lot of us agreed that this won't. A year from now, we won't have 4v4. Let's put it that way. A lot of us at the event thought that. So, I mean, we'll see.
I can understand that mindset. I just wish that rather than making it the only option, they'd incentivize the 4v4 as an option.
Exactly.
Reward you to go into that and play however you want and the 4v4 because you're getting rewarded for it,
Well, I think, but one thing we have to understand and consider is these maps have been built with 4v4 in mind. So if you throw 6v6 into this map, now it could potentially be overcrowded. You know what I mean?
Well,
I
guess that's probably the biggest negative to me. I didn't really
Yeah.
necessarily consider that, but I guess the lack of forethought into large PvP maps would probably be my biggest negative drawback now that we put that in perspective.
Yeah.
Because there's not even the capacity there without some real design work to go ahead and unleash a 6v6 or 8v8 mode or whatever.
Right.
And then, okay, so then my next question would be, of the things that we have heard absolutely nothing about, what are you most afraid of that we've heard nothing about? And what are you most excited for that we've heard absolutely nothing about?
The thing I'm most afraid about, that's a good one. That's a good one. Let me say, I'll go with what I was excited about. Let me think about what most excited about is how they're going to handle these. Well, I guess they talked about lost sectors. I'll say this: trials. I'm excited to see what trials is going to be, in this new meta of PvP, how they're going to handle the loot structure, things like that. Because obviously, as we know, it's going to be 4v4 now, so it's going to completely change tactics and the way that people counter that now. What that I'm afraid of that they haven't announced. I'll say this: how we interact with NPCs out in the wild. That would probably be the thing that I'm most concerned with, because again, I want it to be dynamic. I don't want the guy that I meet at the church in the European Dead Zone to say the same thing to me every time I go to him. I want it to be unique. I want it to change up. I want to get different missions. I want different loot. You get what I'm saying. So
do you think we're going to end up having like the head of the Minutemen from Fallout 4? That reoccurring sort of looping quest lines where they send us out on missions with just different names for all the objectives, but it's really the same mission. You see it like that.
But it's a fear of it being monotonous and being static the way that Destiny 1 was. But talking to them, it sounds like they're obviously aware of that, and they have plans to remedy that. And even, what was his name, Bobby Kotick, the head of Activision, he said in financial calls plenty of times they have a plan, to keep us engaged, and they understand that that's the biggest complaint from Destiny 1 is we just want new stuff to do. And the fact that Luke, I was talking to Luke Smith, he even said that the live team basically has their doppelganger. There's a Luke Smith and a Noseworthy on the live team, and they have their own mission and what they're working on. His mission is get the game out and ship it. Once he ships it, he's handing it off. Now the live team's doing their thing. So I think a big thing Bungie's going to have to do to alleviate my worry is talk about this stuff over the summer and give us the roadmap. I mean, we need a roadmap that they're going to somewhat stick to. I know, could you go back to Destiny 1, obviously, with the 2 expansions and all that stuff changed because they realized, oh, crap, we can't do the things that we said. But hopefully they got a big lessons learned with that. They changed the engine so it's easier to develop for, and we'll just see a stream of new content. I mean, when you really think about it, they got 3 studios working on this game, constantly. So I can't say what I want to say, but let's just put it this way. They know what they have in this IP, and they're going to market the hell out of this game over the summer and into the holiday. And if they get new people on board, they don't want them to go, well, I did all that. And okay, I know what my big fear is now. Now I know what my big fear is. Now that I really thought about it. So my big fear is we blow through all this content in 2 weeks. I think that's the easiest way to say it, because this is virtually what we did with Destiny 1. We blew through the content in 2 weeks. We were forever 29. We did the raid, and then we were just spinning our wheels after that. So hopefully,
I want to ask you a question then based off of that statement, because this is a question I was going to ask anyways. Based off of maybe information that you were given, maybe information that you've heard from other people, or maybe you haven't heard at all. Okay, so they showed a level 20, light level 200 build. Okay, and they have been talking about, oh, we're doing all this extra stuff to make the game last longer. You're saying, you're worried. Is it going to be something that's you're going to blow through in an instant? Did anybody talk about what the light level is actually going to be? Is that the max? No.
No, they're not giving any of that information up now.
They didn't talk about how it might how you might be leveling up. Then give any kind of inclinations of saying, oh, it's going to be like it was vanilla, or it's going to be like it was Age of Triumph. Nothing. And if you've seen some of the videos, they had a lot of that. The weapon upgrade, the armor upgrade. We didn't get to see anything. Right.
As far as how things are going to level up and upgrade. And like you said, level 20, like 200. That's all we saw. No one gave even a hint as to what the cap's going to be.
Now, just so we, it's a good time to announce this, I think, or mention this. There was a leak just before the reveal of a bunch of information that has turned out that this leak is nearly 100% correct at this point, post-reveal. We can look back in hindsight and say, well, this guy is obviously knows everything. And he did say in his leak that it was a level 20 cap for the launch.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It very well could be, but no one confirmed or denied anything. So who knows? Because I guess what was it at launch for D1? I guess it was 30,
20.
right? Was it 20?
Well, I mean, no. Well, it was.
Well, because you could raid.
It was
so
30,
I guess it was 30.
Huh?
Yeah, so it was 30 when you did the raid.
It was. The problem with Destiny 1 is that your level up to 20 was leveling, and then your last 10 levels was on your armor.
Level to 20, then your armor gave you what was extra.
Right,
so it was a level 20 cap.
Right. And that was the Forever 29 because you couldn't get the drop that you need to get the 30. That's what it was. Yeah. So, obviously they're not going to do that this time, but I've no hints as to anything on what's going to happen.
Well, it was actually hilarious. I had worked on my Warlock and my Hunter in Vanilla Destiny originally, and made my Titan just before Crota's End was the launch. And I was at Forever 29 with my Warlock, could not get the raid gauntlets to drop. And I'm like, well, I got to get all three of my classes up to speed for, Crota's End launching. I got to get that Titan up there. So I went and leveled him all up in 1 week. And on his very first Vault of Glass run, got every single armor piece and went straight to 30 and became my first level 30 Guardian.
Nice.
That's kind of what made me do Titan for a while. And Dado was really mad when it happened on his run that I took all the loot drops.
Now, I'll say this, because I just thought about this. This is one thing that the reveal did for me. I main a Warlock for life, and then I'll run a Titan. I have a Hunter, but I've never cared about my Hunter. I've just never been a guy to run a Hunter. I'm gonna level up a Hunter, and I'm gonna run all three characters this time equally. I think I like the changes that they made to the Golden Gun, and then obviously we've seen with the arc. It's not the blade. What is it called now? I can't even think. You know what it is? The spear.
Arc Strider.
Anyway, yeah, Arc Strider. Thank you.
Full dancer.
Yeah. So I'm interested in the Hunter. I think I'm gonna run a Hunter this time and just go through it that way. And in that sense, the fact that I'll go through all three classes, you level them all up, do all the in-game content I want with them. I mean, it's going to keep me busy, obviously, but we're all maniacs that are on here. We're hardcore. We're probably going to all take a week off on September 8th, and we're going to dive into all this content. So I think Bungie has to answer that with content. Oh, and here's a question I have for all you guys, because this is something I was asking people at the event. The raid, how soon do you think we get to play it? I'm just curious what everyone thinks.
I want 3 weeks.
What you want or what you think it's going to be?
I think it's going to be in 2 weeks. I want 3 weeks.
I want a month, but it's not going to happen.
Okay, for an actual prediction, I think it'll come out on the 19th, because the game launches the 8th. 12th seems way too soon for after having to level, and 19th is on a Tuesday, the Tuesday after.
Yep, I'll take that. I'll take
That's
that
less
bet.
than 2 weeks,
I would
isn't
take
it?
it without being very happy.
Yeah, that's less
I'm
than
not
2 weeks,
saying
but
that
that's more than we had for VOG.
Yeah, I'm not saying I'd be happy with it, but I totally agree with what Jez is saying, because this is the unfortunate truth about Bungie's mentality, is they want to push it all out there and have those elitists whatever you want to call the people that grind, to have that chance at World's First, and they don't want to have it open to everyone, which is
That doesn't make any
my
sense, though.
I know it doesn't make any sense, but okay.
I'd rather see a real run at Worlds First and not who's dictated by who had to work the first few days.
Well, and what kind of lucky drops you get too, because you know that it's all about RNG. So but I think Jez has totally hit it on the head. That's when it's gonna happen.
I'll tell you.
What I want to have is 4 weeks and a light cap on it.
Like you can only get to a certain amount until the raid.
Yeah, basically.
That's how they did it for vanilla testing.
There's a light cap that you can't exceed until after the raid's been out for a week. So everybody hits a max light that is at least achievable for a reasonable percentage of the player base that wants to play it day one.
Well, the way they would have to do that is they'd have to make the armor that's in the raid be the only armor that can go up to max light, just like
they won't do.
Destiny.
Which
they won't do that. Yeah, they won't do that.
They wouldn't have to do that. They just say they're going to launch with, max light of 100. Then they're going to actually do a soft launch that the max light is 80. And then a week after the raid's out, it bumps up to 100.
I mean, so a couple things. One thing they could do in the raid is they could basically make a max light that if you're over that light, any excess is not gained in the raid.
Ah, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing that's going to throw a wrinkle into my prediction is PC. If the PC launches like within a week, that's probably going to push the raid date back. But if they take like 2 weeks, they'll probably do the console raid earlier.
Oh yeah, so are they going to do parity between the PC and console raids? Are they going to launch them the same day, same time?
What no one knows.
Yeah, I would think so. And I'm glad you brought up the PC because from little whispers I heard, the launch of the PC won't be that far behind the console launch. It's more of they're just making sure 100% they got all their I's dotted and T's crossed so that they don't run into any hitches on launch. So we're probably looking at a scenario of a week, maybe 2 weeks behind the console launch. And then kind of like what Jez is saying, I think it's all across the board, Xbox, PC, because they want whatever platform to go world first. They don't want it to be, well, PlayStation and Xbox went first, so the PC guys, you don't get to do world first. And now you probably cheated and seen all the mechanics.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
that's a good sign that we might have an even longer period till we have the raids on console.
Yeah, I hope so. Oh, and again, going by that theory, I'm thinking 3 weeks. And people said I was crazy, but we'll see.
No,
what was the majority? What was the
2.
majority of people what they said that you asked?
2 weeks, except K-Dub because he's crazy and he said, "Oh, it'll be 3 days after launch." I go, "No, it's not."
That would be my nightmare.
I mean, that would only work if we were already 20 going to 40, right. Only by leveling.
So I have another question for Parris, Agrios. If you've wrapped up, or do you have an additional?
I have wrapped up.
Okay, perfect.
I yield.
We are all Guardian 1 members here on the show right now. It's wonderful to see. Oh, I'm sorry, Jez is an honorary.
I thought you were on
Guardian
Xbox.
No, Jez is Guardian 1 on Xbox.
Aren't you?
Yeah, but I haven't turned that on since Taken King, maybe.
But you're technically Guardian 1. It's all that matters.
Own it, Jez. Okay.
I'll leave
the
just so
exception
that...
of Jez being a closet Guardian 1 member. Come out of the closet, Jez. You can come out. It's very exciting to start to hear about what Bungie is going to do with Destiny 2, specifically how clans are going to be more active in the game. Now, all we got was a little tiny segment during the presentation. Did you find out any additional information about how clans are going to function moving into Destiny 2?
No. Other than, you're not going to have to, like, Guardian 1 exists now. We're going to migrate right on in to Destiny 2. You're not going to have to worry about re-signing up and doing things like that. Because think about it, if they did that, people would steal all the good names immediately. So we're not have to worry about that. But that was probably the only insight I got while I was there about the clan stuff.
I feel like someone mentioned that the groups that exist now are what make your clans in Destiny 2 anyways. I feel like there was... I don't know if it was the IGN one, but they said...
It was Holly Bennett did from PlayStation Access interviewed, and Deej said it's all transferring over.
Yeah.
Well, I guess if you were going to speculate, we certainly know about guided games and how clans are going to have more of a presence for helping people match with teams that are like-minded so that they can complete activities. Is there anything that you're speculating that you would either anticipate or that you would like to see from a clan perspective going into Destiny 2?
I mean that I would like to see. I'll give K-Dub credit to this because we were talking about this. He
don't
wants
give him credit to anything. What are you talking about, Parris?
Okay,
slow down,
gotta
Sharks.
be in the bit as it is.
We're a family, Sharks. You're tearing this family apart.
Oh man,
We just like to go
worse
K-Dub
than
is
friends,
different.
we're family.
no. But the one thing that he was saying, I don't know if Dakota's in the chat right now, but like Dakota, he loves to do raids and Sherpa people through. Where Dakota keeps doing that. But now the whole clan is obviously getting rewards and credit, and because he's doing that through guided games. But there's also basically an in-clan leaderboard for who's done the most for the clan this week, and it basically creates a healthy competition within the clan, which in turn will promote us to want to go outside the clan and help more people and Sherpa them through things and all that. So the clan is helped when we do guided games. But then we're motivated to help because we have our own internal competition. So I would hope to see some structure with that makes sense. And then I hope the way that guided games is set up on our end and on for a solo player's end, that there's some key, like got to have a mic, just things like that. So it's structured. And I think Luke talked about this a little bit on the IGN thing, that they're going to do it in a way, kind of in what do you say, a psychological way to kind of promote people to want to do these things. But we're very clear on what we're looking for a person for that sixth person we need to join the raid. And that sixth person that's looking to join a raid can be very specific about what he's looking for. And then we can match up together so that when that person does join our group and we jump into a raid, there's not conflict on, dude, we told you you're supposed to have a mic, but now you don't have a mic. Or we told you you're supposed to have Galahorn 12, but you got Galahorn 11, or something like, you get what I'm saying? Something like that. So it makes for a seamless experience when someone comes in. And then it really just comes down to the social aspect of, are you an a-hole or not? As long as you're not an a-hole, okay, fine, we can play and do our thing. And I guess one other thing that hasn't been specified specifically with the clan and how that's going to work with guided games, let's say we're doing the raid and I don't know, Sharks has to drop out at the final checkpoint. Are we going to be able to use guided games to bring someone in at that checkpoint, or do we have to start over from the very beginning? That they weren't specific on that. I can't imagine that it won't be that way, but they haven't talked about it yet. So that would be one thing.
One thing I was brought up in my mind when you were talking, that you mentioned that it's about clans, right? Can you do guided games with like people that aren't of the same clan and then pick up a sixth?
Well, see, I was thinking about that too. And again, we need more information. So let's say I want to raid and none of you guys are on, but I'm a part of Guardian 1. So I should be able to start a guided games and bring in 5 people, right? I should be able to. I don't see why you can't.
Oh, no. I mean, if you have a group, like a pre-made group of 5 people, but they're not from the same clan.
Well, then I think, again, I guess that still goes on the same scenario. Basically, it's whoever is the leader of the fire team.
Yeah,
right?
Party team leader. Yeah, that's how it is with a lot of other things.
So then that comes down to which clan do you want to get credit? Right? So,
yeah.
One of the things that I was kind of concerned about or really curious about, I know that from the individual player, looking at the clan descriptions in the guided games can get a good feeling of, is this a group that I will probably get along with? But the vice versa, I wonder if they're going to implement some kind of a karma system that you as the group can protect yourself a little bit and say, look, this individual wants to join us, but looks like they've gotten some pretty poor Uber ratings in the last few weeks, and they've been kind of toxic to the groups they've been part of. Maybe we don't want them to join us on this raid because we don't think it's going to be a good fit. Or the worst case scenario, we're Guardian 1. We're very open. We're there to help Guardians as best as we can, help them accomplish the things that they want to do in the game. Probably the thing that could be the worst from us from a morale standpoint is if people join us just because they want to troll on us. And we have to now deal with the situation where somebody really has no interest in completing the activity. They just have the interest of making people miserable. How do we protect ourselves in that kind of a scenario?
Well, see, I think you actually I think this is going to be essential that, they have to have some kind of star rating. So we could set a minimum. If you're not at least 3 stars, we don't even see you. You don't even get matched to us. We won't even see you in our list, and vice versa, where that solo player is saying, I only want 4-star clans. If you're not a 4-star clan, don't even show up in my list. I don't even need to consider you. And then, like you said, if someone is coming into the group and is trolling us, then we're giving him 1 star or whatever. And the more he does it, now all of a sudden he can't match up with anyone until he improves his rating again. That has to be implemented. I can't see them not doing that.
Okay, so I'm curious, and this doesn't just go to Parris. This is going to go to the rest of the panel too, but we'll let Parris start it off. What is it that you would like, or no, it's not even what you would like. How much and what would you like Bungie to show us in the upcoming beta, and how much would be too much?
Oh, that's a great question. Okay, what I would like to see is put us on a planet, give us a patrol zone, let us do 1 strike, let us do 1, maybe 2 PvP maps. I want 1 lost sector, and I want 1 treasure map. That's it. And probably cap us at like level 8 or something, like they did in their original beta. That's it. I don't need anything else. Like, definitely don't hint at trials or well, they did Iron Banner in the original beta. They did. I don't think they are this time, because
I think one event would be cool.
Yeah, maybe so.
That was really cool, like an event to finish off the beta. And I also really liked that last day they opened up a bunch of extra stuff. Just
the moon.
Have fun with this little bit of extra area the last day.
I wonder what classes they'll allow, or subclasses they'll allow. Because I find it weird that they went with 2 old subclasses and 1 new subclass for the Warlock.
Oh, I can tell you why.
Because it was the main guy in the video?
Well, I think they went Warlock with the Dawn Blade because I think they wanted, because, Warlocks, we got a bad rep. So I think they wanted to show off how cool a Warlock can be in Destiny 2 with this new subclass, and the fact with the new class ability. I mean, Warlocks are literally a support class now, if you want them to be, because I guarantee you that function of being able to have the heal pool or the weapon buff pool, that's going to replace the Titan bubble in a raid, guaranteed. You know, so I think they purposely did that to kind of show that off, and then I think at E3 they'll show off either the Hunter or the Titan's new subclass as an example. Then they'll go to Gamescom and do it, or the beta or whatever. But I think they're just they're staggering it to show each subclass, and they don't want to give you all 3 at once.
There was more question to that, but I totally stole it. Sorry.
So to add more to what we want to see in the beta and whatnot, what I really want is when they give us however much they give us of one of the planets to run around in, like to get to the strike and like do a story mission on it or whatever. I wanted them to tell us exactly what percentage of that planet we have access to in the beta. Like, I want them to say, we're giving you 1/3 of this planet to roam on, or 1/4 of this planet to roam on. I don't want it to be still ambiguous at that point how much exploration is going to be left in the game after the beta. I want me to have a good impression of what to expect based upon the size I got to explore there in the beta.
I'm curious what Gray thinks, since he didn't get a chance to play the beta. What would you like to see and how much would be too much?
Oh man, that's tough. I think anything that is available for viewing right now should be in the beta. So the strike that they showed, the gameplay, the things that they got to experience, I would be probably a little bit upset if at least the same amount of content that was at the gameplay reveal wasn't available in the beta. With that said, my goal in the beta is I want to see what they've done to improve the graphics of the game, improve the movement of the player, the response of the weapons, and how they feel. And I want to know how the audio quality and audio effects have improved. So they don't need to give me a ton to get a good feeling. Other than that, I actually don't want a lot of content. I want to save as much of my presents to open at Christmas. I don't necessarily want to open them before. So if it is limited just to what was at the reveal, I'd be happy because that's content I already had to expose myself to. I'm in the position where I know I'm going to play Destiny 2. I want to be as giddy for as long as possible. And to do that, if I can keep myself from being exposed to as much of the game until it's all available, I will be happy.
There is one thing that wasn't in this build that was in the beta that is kind of going to be where you spend a lot of your time, and that's Patrol.
Right. But hopefully they don't open up. I mean, a lot of games that have, especially beta games, they always corner off sections. Even if it's a whole area that in reality in the game you can go to, there's just like the darkness zone is there. You can't go past that part. You're going to die. So I hope if they do a patrol, which I agree with those of you that want to see that, I think that would be really good too.
Well, that's what I was talking about when I said I want them to define exactly what portion of the planet that is.
Yeah. But I don't think that they'll show too much. I mean, I don't know. Well, maybe that's just wishful thinking. I think that Bungie has learned from their past mistakes as far as doing stuff like that. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see in a month's time. That's when E3 is.
So, something about the beta. Which would you say about the beta? That's when the beta is what?
No, I didn't say that's when the beta. I said we'll find out. We'll find out.
I thought you were calling some stuff there.
No.
So Parris
said something else about the beta. Well,
wait, Agrios, stop. Gray has a question.
Oh, go ahead.
A couple questions because I'm sure we're going to be getting into the news here in earnest. So for Parris, since you know what I'm most concerned about here for experiencing the game, just your short soundbite on how did you think the graphics were in the game compared to what we have in Destiny 1, which we have discussed in detail on this show, how great the graphics are for a game that is 3 years old, developed 4 years ago on old gen and this current gen. Fantastic. So how did the graphics feel? Does it feel like 3 years worth of progress? And then the audio. How do you think the audio was?
Oh, I thought the audio was fantastic. Like I said, there was a definite I can't even talk. Sorry. There was a definite upgrade to the sound quality and just the way the weapons sound, the way the grenades sound, abilities, etc. Everything, just world sounds in the environment, everything. Graphically, like I said, you could definitely tell that the lighting got a buff, particle effects got a buff. It looks like Destiny. It's very familiar to Destiny, but to the quick eye. But if you study it and really look at it, yeah, it's been upgraded. You can tell that they finally have completely ditched the old consoles at this point. So we're on the quote unquote next gen consoles, and yeah, I thought it was fun. Looked great.
Okay, so I want to expand on this then, and since you were down there and you had the opportunity to see and play, and then I'm going to throw it to everybody else too to answer this same question, because a lot of people have been talking, and it's really unfortunate that that Remy is sick, and I'm sure we will get his opinion on this later. A lot of people are talking about playing multiple characters on multiple systems. Mm-hmm. Okay, and I'm very anti doing that. I think that it's counterproductive. I understand if people want to, if they are, Goth, for instance. He's online and he wants to be able to play with PlayStation, play with Xbox, and play with PC. But how do you feel about doing that? Are you going to do that, or are you going to stick to one console?
I am going to main on the PlayStation 4 because of beautiful people like yourself. I want to continue to play with you. But I'm also going to play on the PC as well. I guess I haven't really talked about that at all yet. I did get to play the PC version. I like playing keyboard mouse with a first-person shooter. Couple keys you got to get used to for a second when you're popping your super, things like that. But once I got it down, because I got to play through the that initial campaign mode, I loved it. Graphically, looked amazing. It's in 60 frames per second. I played it in 4K. It was stunning. I have the computer that can actually run it in that fidelity, so why the hell not? And it's going to expose me to a different community of people. But like I said, I'm going to main PlayStation 4 because of the community that's been built around PlayStation already. The vast majority of people are not going to move over to the PC from PS4. And more importantly, I play with my son, and I'm not spending $1,500 so my son could be on a PC. So we'll play on the PlayStation, so I'll keep doing that. But yeah, I'm going to definitely double dip, because I do want to expose myself to the PC crowd as well. But ironically enough, and this is where I say they're making this more of a PvE focused game. I will probably not play PvP that much on the PC unless I have to for loot.
That might be a wise choice considering all the people going over.
Exactly. Which ironically enough, talking to True Vanguard, he was actually concerned about going to PC, playing PvP, because he's not a mouse keyboard guy. So I was shocked when he said that. So he's like, I'm worried, I'm nervous. So we'll be curious to see top PvP players like that, what they do, if they just stick to PS4 or will they move over to PC. And then obviously the whole MLG crowd that's going to be built around this game in Destiny 2, because obviously that's the direction they're trying to go. Where is that going to happen? Are they going to do that on Battle.net on PC, or are they going to stick to PS4, especially since PlayStation has the whole marketing thing? I got a feeling it'll be on PlayStation, but I guess we'll see.
Yeah, it seemed from that reveal that they are very, very happy with their business relationship with Sony, that they're going to want to try to continue to encourage that relationship as best they can. Since we're talking about PC versus Xbox versus PlayStation, there's been a lot of buzz, some rumors confirmed, debunked. I don't even know anymore. Are we talking cross saves? Is that even on the table anymore? Is it gone? What happened?
I heard, actually Noseworthy said this to me. No, they're not going to do it. But then
Noseworthy, please.
But then I've heard that, we're not talking about that now. We want to see how it all shakes out. So who knows? Honestly, it's a who knows thing. I'm going to lean towards no. They're not going to do cross saves. But I mean, I don't think, maybe I could see a thing of they give the incentive like, hey, if you want to go from PlayStation to PC, there could be a one-time transfer potentially. But I don't think we'll be able to go back and forth, which realistically would be the best scenario for me. I would love that if I could go back and forth between PlayStation and PC and keep all my progress.
I agree. I think that would be very big for the game. I think it would open up markets. I think there's people that would buy it on platforms so that they could play with groups of friends infrequently, but they don't necessarily want to work at maintaining even one character on another system because of the work that goes into it. Let alone now talking about 3 possible systems. If you want to have 3 characters on 9 characters to maintain, sounds like I love the game. We all put in thousands of hours, but I don't know that's how I want to spend my thousands of hours on 9 separate characters. So if we're going to ask for anything, Bungie, that again, the community, you listen to us, that would be something that we think would be very valuable, and it would be probably a good business move as well. I got to imagine I'd buy more copies of the game on more systems if that was a thing.
Well, I can't wait to talk to Deej, because I always talk to Deej right before launch. So I can't wait to talk to Deej right before launch and ask him that very question and hear him spin it, because it'll be amazing the way he spins it. He'll literally convince me that it's a good idea to not have cross saves. I 100% guarantee it.
Well, that's good. So before we kind of get into the news, and we've got probably about 30 minutes to 40 minutes left in our show, we'll certainly go around and make sure everybody has one more chance to ask any questions. Jez is very excited to ask another question.
Sorry.
I just want to know, Parris, are we looking at a Empire Strikes Back type situation here, or do we got a sophomore slump Sharknado 2 coming out with Destiny 2?
I think we got Empire Strikes Back. Obviously, I want to be positive and not think that we got Sharknado 2, but just looking at what they're doing, and they've obviously taken a lot of lessons learned over the past 3 years to fix things. Whereas I feel like, I'll look at it this way. Luke Smith and Mark Noseworthy were the architects behind the Taken King, right? The Taken King was the ultimate Band-Aid to fix vanilla Destiny and get it to a playable, longer-lasting state, which is obviously where we are today. I feel like Destiny 2 is them ripping the Band-Aid off and just starting from scratch and building it from the ground up. And like, all right, what wasn't working back in 2014? Let's get it working the right way here in 2017. And that's kind of what I see with Destiny 2. Again, just look at it. The Lost Sectors, the treasure map stuff, obviously the guided games thing that they're going to do. I mean, they've already, I think they fixed the light system. You know what? Going back to that really quick, I think leave light and leveling the way it is now. It looks like they're going to layer on top of that with some of the way that armor is going to work and some weapon mods and things like that. So when you look at it that way, no, I do think this is the Empire Strikes Back, that they're going to give us as close to an MMO shooter experience that we could possibly have, on a console. That's what I see with Destiny 2.
Do you think, and I probably should pass this around, but do you think as you played the game that you could actively see elements from other games that have come out in the last 3 years that influenced some of the user interface or the interaction between the player and the game? Or do you think that Bungie, if they innovated in their own way?
That's a great question. I guarantee you they've taken influences from other games. I literally cannot think of one specifically off the top of my head, but they've obviously done a great job of whatever they incorporated, making it feel like it's unique to what we're seeing with Destiny. Because I could throw the question back to you guys. There isn't another game on a console that plays like Destiny. I know BioWare will see at E3. BioWare is going to have their competitor. Ubisoft obviously tried it with The Division, but I mean, The Division, didn't, it suffered from a lot of things that Destiny suffered from early on, and they were unable to fix it in time to keep the community engaged. And I think that's one thing you gotta give Bungie credit for. They were able to rescue themselves in time, but they also had the raid, which I think is what ultimately saved year one Destiny, is the fact that they had that vault of glass. But going back to the original question, yeah, I can't think of off the top of my head, but I do feel like they've been influenced. I mean, the obvious one to me is World of Warcraft. I mean, Luke Smith, is famous for being a huge WoW player, and this is his game. So of course he's going to take things from World of Warcraft, but console side, nothing I can, like I said, think off the top of my head, but I'm sure influences are there.
I think you should probably give him his full title, Luke Smith, the Scarab Lord.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I'd say that I'm actually happy with that, because I wouldn't want Destiny to feel like another game, right? I wouldn't want to necessarily feel like I was experiencing something in Destiny that I would say, oh man, they just ripped off The Division, right? This is exactly what The Division did, and it's just a straight rip-off. Right. If they were going to take something from another game, I certainly would like them to take it, do what Bungie does to improve on it, make it their own, and then make you feel like there's elements to this that seem like something I experienced, but it's better.
Okay, but so here, I'm going to throw this at you then, and especially at Parris, since he played it and listened to it. Okay, when I listened to the footage of all the different streamers playing PvP and listening to the jumps, the sounds of jumps sound exactly like Call of Duty sounds.
I don't think I've been interested enough in Call of Duty recently to be able to make that comparison. It may be so, but that's the first time I've actually heard that. I cannot confirm or deny.
I mean, if it sounds like a jump, I don't think people really care that it sounds like a jump from another game, unless it was like, oh, you hear jetpacks in this jump and there's no jetpacks in your Guardian. What's wrong there?
No, I
think
understand. I understand that,
be-
but you guys are talking about like taking stuff and like going to the next level with it. I always loved that Destiny was so different with their sounds. They got rid of those sounds, and I understand changing sounds and upgrading them, but to change them and then make it sound very much like another game that's kind of the same genre that just happens to be part of Activision is very, very fishy to me.
I mean, I would answer that by saying that, yeah, Bungie is, quasi a part of Activision right now. And Activision has obviously brought in a lot of resources to help them get this game out. Would not shock me at all if the camera can see me, borrowed a few things and put it in there to save time. So, I mean, it's very possible.
Yeah, especially if it was something as innocuous as jump sounds. I guess that's something that I can't speak of a certain game. Well, one game has a jump sound that I will never forget, and that's Super Mario Brothers. That's probably the only one that has such a distinct jump sound. But I can't even tell you what I think my jump sound in the game is. It's just not something that stands. I know what my Genesis chain sounds like. That's a sound that sticks with me. But the jumping sound, I could probably care a little bit less about. All right, well, let's do one more kind of around the horn. Agrios, do you have any questions remaining for our good friend Parris?
I do not.
Okay. Jez and your cat, do either of you have a question for our friend Parris?
Well, I don't really have a question per se, but I did want to bring up something interesting about your stats. Because in your armor, just like in year one in Destiny 1, you have that bar that goes from 0 to 48 or whatever that particular stat is. It looks like in Destiny 2 that bar goes from 1 to 3 at least in that beta.
Yeah, I mean, that's again, we won't know more until this summer, but it seems like they're changing all that up. And I know some people will like this, some people will hate it. I really think they're getting away from the whole tier 12 stuff with armor. I really do. So probably plays into it.
Probably close to be more of a select your armor based on the types of stats they give, and not so much the number, which would be a lot more fun.
Yeah,
right, exactly.
I would like that better too. I think it's a good move. All right, Sharks 3D Man. Do you have any final questions for our guest, Parris?
I could sit here and I could talk all night long, and I could talk Parris's ear off all night long, but I'm actually going to refrain because I don't want him to be afraid to talk to me when we're all at E3 in a couple weeks. So let's go to the news.
Can I say something real quick before you go to news? Can I say one thing?
Well, you have to. Agrios isn't here.
Oh, well, there you go. It's funny. And you probably don't believe when I say this, but I suffer from social anxiety. I have a real problem approaching people. That's been a big thing about me. It's like, if you approach me, I'll talk your ears off, but I've always had this issue of not being comfortable approaching people, right? I literally forced myself to get over that for this Destiny 2 event, and it paid a lot of dividends. I met so many great people by doing that. So I've made it a point that I'm also going to continue that when I go to E3. So you could talk my ears off, Sharks. I will come up to you and approach you, and we will have a conversation. It's not going to be a problem.
We better.
I see Sharks running around E3 to every person that he recognizes being, let me love you. Just let me love you. You guys are gonna have a blast.
Gray keeps putting it out on the internet that when I see DJ, I'm gonna go, Deej, I love you.
Yes. I'm telling him, just tone it down a little. You could scare him away. People can be skittish. So this was a really cool event, and you guys are gonna have to help me understand. Did Bungie do something like this for Destiny 1?
What do you mean?
Like, did they have
No.
a gameplay reveal event where
No.
they invited a bunch of
No.
people
Not
to
exactly, no.
experience it?
They didn't have.
Um,
You have to remember when Destiny first released, there wasn't the community that there was now. What they
Well,
did is no, there wasn't. Come on, there
I
weren't.
was
There
moderator
weren't.
of the subreddit that was like 60,000 strong. I'm going to have
Yeah,
to
it doesn't
disagree
matter
with you.
that there were 60,000 people following it, but what I'm saying is that there wasn't a community that were hundreds of streamers out there doing this, upcoming awesome streamers and YouTube content creators like Parris here now.
At launch, there was.
But there weren't a lot. The ones that were, they did it under the table or under the radar. It was like, okay, more console came out, more console got all kinds of information on discs and whatnot, and he was able to put it out in YouTube. And there were a few others out there at the same time too, but it wasn't a huge event like this one was.
I think what you mean to say is there was a capture event. There wasn't a public spectacle about it, though.
Yeah.
Exactly. They
Right.
invited a bunch of people to Bungie to play the game behind the scenes,
Yep.
and they got to play the Devil Spire. Right.
Yep.
So given the kind of the unique and really first of its kind event like this that Bungie did, did you get the impression when you're sitting next to Bungie execs or you're talking with Deej that they viewed this as a success, that this is something that they will probably continue to do as we go down this 10-year road with Destiny?
Oh, absolutely. I love the fact that they did an event like this, and yeah, I see no reason for them to not continue this in the future. And like I said, from every Bungie person I got to talk to there, they were very happy with this reveal. There wasn't any awkward moments or issues or anything. So why not? I think the vast majority of people in the community were happy with what they saw. So why not?
So how long do you think it will be until some other company's like, okay, we're doing a reveal event?
Next year. It'll be ASAP is what I
Well,
think.
it's not like Destiny's the first one to do a reveal event.
I feel like there was a little bit more fanfare for this one. It seemed like normal reveal events don't invite non-content producers.
I mean, look at the Battlefield reveal event. They had all those celebrities there playing with all the streamers. They had Snoop Dogg and everybody else there playing with them for their reveal event, all live streamed.
Well, I'm actually glad you said that because I've been to a few of these kind of events that you're talking about, and they're all very phony. They all feel very fake. It's about getting Snoop Dogg in front of the camera. It was like, I don't know if you guys listen to the Bungie podcast. Luke and Noseworthy talked about it on there. Whereas, sure, they could have hired some celebrity to go out there and show, Zavala was there. Hell, people thought I was him when I was there, right? So they could have had him introduce the game, but he was nowhere to be seen during reveal. It was all the real Bungie employees, all their good points, bad points, everything in between, showing the game that they're making. On the show floor, walking around, were actual Bungie employees walking around, people playing the game, like Lars Bakken. I saw him everywhere, just talking to people and showing them tips and stuff while they're playing PvP. Like I said, I got to sit down with Jason Jones, things like that. Deej was everywhere, obviously, talking to people. It was it felt real. It felt, like you said, it felt like this was for the people that love our game, and it was a very organic versus just this Hollywood spectacle event that most of them are. Because Activision is notorious for doing it. I've been to some Call of Duty events that are like that over the years, where it's all about celebrity. It's all about the light show. Sure, we get hands-on and we get to interview the people or whatever, but it's about how good does it look on television versus actually letting the people that love the game play the game and talk about the game. So in that way, and I know I'm talking too much, this was a lot better than what we've had in the past.
And I think all of us are, we're hoping that as we continue as a clan that is so in line with what Bungie sees as what's essential for supporting and growing this community, helping one another, goodwill towards one another, kindness, lack of salt, helping people accomplish what they want to accomplish in the game. And again, being critical where it's appropriate to be critical. But at the end of the day, everything that we do is out of the love that we have for this game. And
Yeah,
it's such
it
a
is.
unique and amazing thing, right? None of us have played a game that's like this or captured our interest in quite this manner. We got 10 years. That's gonna be lots of opportunities for us to continue to support this community and support this game, and I look forward to all those opportunities that come down the road. As we're kind of wrapping up, we're getting about 30 minutes left in our show. Agrios, what do we have in the news?
All right. Well, in the weekly up this week at Bungie, they first started talking about the network code, what we're going to expect from our servers and such in Destiny 2. They announced last week that there'd be no dedicated servers, and tonight Matt Seeger, engineering lead on Destiny 2, had some information for us regarding how they're going to run things. Many are concerned by our announcement last week that Destiny 2 doesn't have dedicated servers. Well, every activity in Destiny 2 is hosted by one of our servers. That means you'll never again suffer a host migration during your raid attempt or trials match. This differs from Destiny 1, where these hosting duties were performed by player consoles and only script and mission logic ran in the data center. Destiny 2 uses a hybrid of client-server and peer-to-peer technology just like Destiny 1. The server is authoritative over how the game progresses, and each player is authoritative over their own movements and abilities. This allows us to give players the feeling of immediacy in all their moving and shooting, no matter where they live and no matter whom they choose to play with. He goes on to say, we've invested heavily in new server infrastructure for Destiny 2, including using cloud servers for gameplay for the first time. We really believe this is the best model for all of Destiny 2's varied cooperative and competitive experiences. Engineering will always involve trade-offs and cost-benefit analysis, but as a team, we've got no regrets about the unique technology we built for Destiny 2. The PC platform poses unique security challenges for Destiny 2, but our security ninjas have spent several years building a plan for how to engage with this new and vibrant community. We think those controller-throwing, lag-inducing moments will be reduced for Destiny 2, but we can't promise they'll be eliminated. Fundamentally, we are trying to strike a balance between three hard problems. 1, make the game feel responsive. 2, make the game accessible to players all over the world. And 3, make the game fair for all. What do you guys think about what they had to say about this and their plan for Destiny 2? It feels to me like they're already in damage control mode, warning us about the red bars we're going to experience. I don't really like the way this sounds going into things. I mean, there are promising things. The cloud servers and the fact that the actual game itself that we're playing will be hosted on their server as opposed to a console's client. Those are both great pieces of news. But I don't like to see damage control before there's damage.
Yeah,
Gray?
I have to agree that I am cautiously apprehensive at their response, because the hope here is that they're going to fix the problem. And what they're saying is that they're improving the problem. And that's good. It's a step in the right direction. But it also helps us to probably understand that the problem is bigger than we probably give them credit for. They have had an opportunity now to have years of looking at this problem, knowing that they could change this from the ground up. But given the dynamics of their game and what they're doing, there are structural limitations that are somewhat outside of their control, somewhat within their control. And I wish that wasn't the case, right? I wish that we were not even having a conversation about lag and red bar and that whole deal. So it's going to be probably something that we have some pain points. I hope that our community here can prepare for the worst so that as we go into it and it's better than we expect, we can be relatively happy about it. Parris, what did you see when you were actually playing the PvP that indicated to you, I mean, granted, you guys are on closed wired connections, custom server, in-house, low ping. You're not going to have connection issues. But what did you have any indicators in the game like we have today, red bar, green bar, yellow bar, that told you what other people had for connections?
You bring up an interesting question. I literally need to go back and look at my capture footage because I don't remember seeing any of that, to be perfectly frank with you. Because like you said, I knew we're in a closed environment and there wasn't anything to worry about connection wise. But that is something to check, and not something I've seen anyone talk about that was at the event. So I'll have to go look and see.
Because it's an interesting, and I'm sure people have gameplay that probably in the chat can say, no, I looked at the PvP gameplay and I saw that they're indicating the connections by doing something. I've always wondered if we didn't know, right? If we just experienced somebody ghosted on our screen, or we had some ghost bullets and they didn't land and somebody died a few seconds later. If we didn't have the opportunity to actually check the connections, would we be as frustrated by it? If all that we saw was a listing of players and we couldn't say like, oh, there's that red bar, that's the problem with our situation. Psychologically, would it bother us as much?
I would say no, because there are some times when people are flicking about and disappearing and they're green bar. So it's, and you don't be like, oh, that damn green bar. You're like, oh, that must be wrong. He must be a red bar.
Something's wrong. Yep.
But as far as damage control goes, I think that's because they can't guarantee that everyone's going to have a good connection. Like, that'd be impossible. And so eventually you're going to come across someone that is a red bar. That's just how online works. Even a dedicated server is not going to help you with some guy that has a horrible connection to the server.
So Jez, you realize that when you see a guy porting around on your screen and you're like, dang, that guy porting around, you look at his connection, he's the green bar, you realize that's because you're the red bar.
Not always. Not always.
Sometimes it's just the host is the red bar at that point.
The bars are actually supposed to convey their connection to you.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I just pick it on you, Jez.
Now, the one thing about the cloud servers, right? If this is going to work like some sort of quasi dedicated server, and it's not going to be doing the host switching like it is today, at least if it's a fairly inconsistent, or I should say, if it's a poor connection, it's going to be that way throughout the match, through the experience. One thing that really does bother me right now is the ebbs and flows of when the host switches to where now everything's good, now everything's gone to crap, now everything's okay again, and not knowing when that's going to happen. It does mess up the flow of the gameplay when that happens.
Well, I'm hoping now that they have control of the host on their servers, I'm hoping this is going to give them the leverage to make sure that the person causing the negative portion of the red bar issue always suffers in the exchange.
Yeah.
Like, that's my real hope, is that this host placement's going to solve that. What's that, Chris?
Maybe it gives them a little bit more ability with their connection network referee that they have talked about in the past, that is supposed to somehow penalize players who have a bad connection. I still have no idea what that actually is in practice when I'm in games. I can't say that my experience, I feel like a player is getting punished by these parameters they've put in place. So maybe having it on their cloud servers actually gives them some more direct control of being able to put in some of those parameters.
Hopefully. Anybody else? Anything on the dedicated server versus peer-to-peer, their hybrid issue? Anything else to say on that?
I did have...
hear it from me once we have a chance to actually test it out. Until we have a chance to test it out, you can't really comment on it, I feel.
I did have someone complaining about this when this update came out, that it sounds an awful lot closer to dedicated servers than what we have now, so why not call them dedicated servers? First of all, that would be lying, and then they would be angry at them for lying later. And really what it comes down to is you can't really judge this system without ever having played it. So as soon as beta comes around, then we could find out if it's going to be good for Destiny 1. Or Destiny
Speaking
2.
of beta, he mentions at the end of what he's saying, we have a beta coming up this summer that will be the first chance for players to get their hands on Destiny 2 and kick the tires on its networking. No alpha confirmed?
I don't think they'll bother.
Haven't heard anything.
He says
I do have
We
to
have a
say,
beta
though,
coming up this summer. That will be the first chance for players to get their hands on Destiny 2. I mean, I'd say that's no alpha confirmed.
yeah, but I also would say Destiny 1's alpha was not an alpha. It was an alpha name only.
Well, yeah, but I mean, two separate phases of player world testing before the game launches. That's alpha and beta. That's fine. You can call it that.
I also find it funny that it's completely ignoring everyone that played it over the event.
So
Alright,
they
moving
do
on.
say that we're still tracking toward a summer time frame. We're locking down dates and preparing builds. As soon as we know for sure, we'll upgrade the beta forecast from its current status of soon with exact dates. And Sharks pointed out something to me earlier. There was a number that appeared on one of the screens in the reveal. It was 17717. And people believe that means that, the beta may be out on July 17th, which actually is the same date that the Destiny 1 beta launched. So, July 17th, rumored beta launch date.
Be fine with that.
Really the only guess that we have going.
So,
Well,
2 weeks on PlayStation, 1 week on Xbox? Is that what we're going to assume at this point, you guys think? Right?
What about, don't forget PC?
Well, 1 week on PC.
I would say the Xbox and PlayStation are going to be the same time this time because I haven't seen any wording of PlayStation plays it first.
Oh, no, yeah, there is, isn't there? Isn't there play the beta first on PlayStation? Isn't that what the posters say?
Yep. Yeah. Early access on PlayStation first.
Early access to the beta on PlayStation.
Then I'm completely wrong. I forgot about that posting.
So, moving on. Bungie Bounty coming up. We have one from New York. It's Ekugen. I don't know how you say that. We'll go with that. On May 29th at 1 p.m. Pacific, playing on PlayStation 4, playing Control. So anybody in the Northeast region, get your emblem. Invite me. Lawn Boy, I'm coming. Movie of the week this week was The Chain, which was a Destiny montage edited to Fleetwood Mac's The Chain. Honorable mention goes to New Face, and another honorable mention to Weird Weather at Destiny's Tower. I kind of like that one. But always go check out the videos. Did any of you guys have any favorites or anything interesting you wanted to say about the movies of the week this week?
I haven't had a chance to catch them yet. I heard there's some interesting things in the audio for the primary, the winner of the movie of the week. So I do need to go back and check that out. But I haven't seen them. Did Sharks, Jez, or Parris, did you guys watch them?
No, I have not had a chance to see them either.
Some interesting history on the winning video. It was made a while ago as a project. It was somewhat, I don't know, open sourced or what you want to say on Reddit. The creator made a post and gathered sounds from the community, various clips and things like that to put it together. He was actually doing it for an interview for a large job position. It was down to him and 2 others, and it was some sort of creative job position. He ultimately didn't get the job, and that's why he finally shared the video publicly to just put it out there since everybody helped him make it and whatnot. But that's a little bit of the backstory behind this week's winner.
I do find it funny that a lot of these movie of the weeks are starting to move towards a music video because that's kind of the type of content creation that I see that came from WoW.
I think it may also have to do with people are getting tired of just seeing Destiny 1 gameplay. Same old, same old.
I mean, that I think that happened pretty early, too. Oh, I did 1 kill clips of my PvP.
So, They finish off the weekly update this week by saying they're not done meeting players and inviting them to join us in these worlds. Up next, see you at E3. So it looks like the next actual dose of reveal information we will get will be at E3. I'm excited myself. Sharks, and Jez will all be attending E3 along with Parris. So see you guys there, and I'm really excited about getting my hands on Destiny 2 there. Hopefully, excited to see what they have for us there and see what the reveal is.
Yeah, I'm super excited for you guys too. We've got here 4 people that are on our show that are going to get to go to E3. Sharks, Parris, and Jez all have their press passes, so they will have some really neat access, and we are very excited to see what they come back with. That is very cool that you guys are doing that. Parris will certainly be checking all of your coverage on Gamertag Radio too that you get, especially with your couch exclusives that are totally off the record with your Bungie executive friends. That's awesome,
yeah,
man.
Yeah. Oh, well, I'm actually scheduled because we're putting our appointment schedule together for E3. I'm scheduled to see Destiny. I'm a demo of Destiny on Wednesday of E3 in the afternoon. And then I have an interview Thursday at 3 p.m. And if you understand how E3 works, that is literally the last hour of E3. So this interview is either going to be amazing because people will it'll go longer than it should because PR won't care anymore and I might get some extra information, or whoever I talk to is just going to want to get the hell out of there, and it's going to be super non-informative. So we'll see. I have no idea who I'm going to talk to at this point, so I really won't know until I actually get to the show.
Well, we're hoping that it's the former, not the latter, and that person is either so ready for happy hour or already started happy hour that they accidentally slip a few details that they probably shouldn't have. That's my hope for you, Parris.
Yeah, that's my hope too.
Me and Sharks and Jez are just going to be running around like chickens with our heads cut off, eating what scraps Parris leaves behind.
Let's move the interview to a bar.
Yeah, we're just going to find the bars afterwards for our interviews.
So we've got about 10 minutes left of the show. Agrios, do we have any more news left that we need to cover?
Well, I mean, there's just an immense amount of stuff that has come out that we haven't specifically talked about. I hit some of the highlights on last week's show. I don't even see the point in me trying to just randomly rattle off a bunch of new info. I think it would be better for me to just inject what we have over the course of our conversations the next couple podcasts.
Yep,
so more or less, that's all I got as news. One thing I should note, PlayStation is offering a spend $100, get $15 back offer between June 9th and June 20th. It's if you order, you can pre-order Destiny 2 in that time and take advantage of that if you haven't done that already. That begins
Depends on how that works, because if it's a voucher, like something you apply at the end, you can't do it on pre-orders.
Well, no, you would.
Oh, you mean
pre-order? Would be pre-ordering, getting the $100 to pre-order Destiny, spending it, and then getting the $15 like July 18th to spend on whatever else you wanted.
Yeah.
It's just you might as well get the $15 if you're going to pre-order Destiny Deluxe Edition anyway.
It should be noted also that I'm sure both stores have really, really deep cuts in their sales on that day because they want people buying games on those days, I should say, because it's E3.
So this begins on June 9th. So if you haven't pre-ordered yet, you probably want to hold off till after June 9th to go ahead and do your pre-order. But yeah, that's all I have this week.
Nice. So before we get to shout-outs, that'll be next, I do want to find out from you guys just quickly, what are you guys doing right now in Destiny 1? We've got a lot of hype about Destiny 2, but what are you guys doing for the game right now that we have in front of us with all of our friends that are playing it? Agrios?
I am working through, I'm having fun with the new raids going through with trying to get those done, although scheduling it with my friends has been a pain. But I'm currently personally working on legitimately 100%ing my Age of Triumph book. Nice. Great.
Yeah, Agrios, you're totally our like midnight 1 a.m. raider, and I always have to work, so I can never get on and get to enjoy that with you. How about you, Jez? Are you in the game now, or you're still playing other games as a buffer till Destiny 2 comes out?
I was gonna make a joke that I'm currently leveling another rogue, and oh wait, that's World of Warcraft. I haven't played Destiny much. I jump in once in a while for
So you raided the other day with
some
Guardian 1.
things. Yeah, I jump in once in a while. Like, if someone wants me for a raid, I'll jump in. But I've got my stuff that I use. I don't really switch off from it, so I don't really have to do much for preparation.
Yeah. How about you, Sharks? What are you doing in the game these days?
I don't know. It's kind of tough these days because now, especially after the reveal, it's even more so. Getting on there and just thinking, oh, there's nothing to go for. I'm still doing my normal stuff, getting boxes. The most excitement I have each week is doing the Raider help that we do when I get a chance to, and helping anybody else out. But I mean, as far as like playing the game, it's just I can't not play it. I can't not turn it on, but I'm not as excited anymore. I need my Destiny 2.
Yeah. Yeah, we're kind of reaching an interesting point in the game where we're now, we've kind of gone a couple cycles with the Age of Triumph. The raids have come around a few times. Most people are getting most of the gear that they wanted to try to get, or all of the gear if that was their goal. So we're kind of getting into a new window where that content is getting a little bit low, and the anticipation for the new game is building up. So how about you, Parris? Have you fired up the game since you got back, or are you just so busy?
I have not played it since I came back from the reveal. I've been teaching myself how to use Adobe Premiere. That's been my life, the past few days. But no, I mean my son has still not done the final challenge mode on Wrath of the Machine. He got there, but he hasn't actually completed it. So we still need to do that. And I've still never done trials. I've never done trials. I've done like elimination and stuff like that, but I've never done actual trials. So that will be something that I want to get done over the summer before Destiny 2.
Well, I'm sure that you have a long list of people who would be happy to play with you in trials. But I would highly recommend our Guardian 1 own Connie the Commie. Real name Connor. Not just because he is so exceptional that you had a very good likelihood of going to the lighthouse, but the way that he takes you through a game makes you feel good, like you're learning, and it's a very enjoyable experience, educational experience, and it's fun to both watch him kick butt and to kick butt alongside him. So certainly reach out, or he'll reach out to you. But like I said, you probably have a long list of people who'd be happy to take you to the lighthouse.
Yeah, we've actually chatted a little bit already, so yeah, we'll get it done because I want my son to do it too. So it'll probably be the three of us or something.
Nice.
Hey, look, in Destiny 2, you can have 3 people take you to Lighthouse.
Right.
That's true.
Yeah, 4v4.
Well, not that we know the lighthouse is going to exist. According to the leak, we're going to be playing the Trials of the Nine.
That's true.
Yeah.
That is true. Which I guess that would be one unconfirmed mystery. Where is Xur? How is that all going to work? Will we still have strange coins? We've seen strange dust, but what about strange coins? Is that whole thing? I truly hope three of coins goes away. I hope exotics are hard to come by in Destiny 2, but I guess we'll see.
There's the new announcer for the new Trials.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah.
There is one thing to note. The game launches on a Friday, so Xur is in the tower when it gets blown up.
Ooh, that's true. That's how they get rid of him.
Yeah, that's how they get rid of him.
So I've been actually pretty active recently in the game, working on a project that Guardian 1 is certainly under their banner. We are doing the Guardian 1 Core, the community outreach rating program. It's been going for a few weeks now. And we take Guardians, they said in the reveal, right? There's 50% of Guardians who have never completed any raid. and that's a large. I think it's half the player base. It's just a phenomenal amount of people, and many of those would love to, but for various reasons, the LFGs are too toxic. They don't feel like they're skilled enough. They don't have friends that play that can get into a big enough group. They haven't been able to complete those raids. And so what we really have focused on, and Sharks has been part of this, Agrios has been pulled in on some runs, what we focus on is trying to tailor that experience really to the desire of the player. If they want to go through that raid and learn the best strategies to get through it efficiently, effectively, we'll show them what those best strategies are, how to set up the team, how to set up each loadout. But if they want to just go and have fun and be laid back and check a box on their list, we'll joke around and we'll go through it that way. They can learn kind of the basic mechanics, and we put them in positions that they will succeed in, that they don't have to know as much detail. So it's tailored to what they would like. Because of that, we only do normal mode raids. You know, it's really hard to get a skilled group of players that can guarantee that experience for a new player on a hard mode. The new raids as they come around and the challenges, it's very difficult to be able to do that. And I know, Jazz, your clan math class, they have those players and they are doing that. And it's kind of cool that, if you're looking for that type of experience, certainly reach out to math class, because Data will always be on your team. He's already guaranteed it. He's signing up for everyone. And they will do those. Just kidding. He said he's not necessarily going to be on every team, and not to ask if you read the description on Twitter. But if you're looking for that 390 light hard mode raid run that you haven't been able to accomplish, Math Class has a Google Doc that you can find them on Twitter and sign up for. If you're looking for a normal mode raid run, we've got a great group of Guardians and Guardian 1 that would love to take you through and get you that experience for the first time. So you can reach out to us on Twitter. And we've got a good group that's putting that together. That's what I've been focused on mainly, and that's what's going to bridge me from now in Destiny 1 to when Destiny 2 comes out. Trying to get as many of those Guardians through to experience the raids that have never got to do it before. All right, that kind of wraps up our show. We got a couple minutes left. We are going to go to shout-outs, starting with Parris.
Okay, wait 1 second. Okay, so I want to say before I die that you guys did a great job.
Oh my gosh, he's alive!
Yeah, I listened to the show. I listened to the whole show. I've just been laying here dying. I want to say, first off, man, am I in love with the new loadout system. Like, I think that this opens up so much for a player like me who was never dependent upon a fusion rifle or a sniper rifle, or really even heavy weapons. I enjoyed my auto rifles and scout rifles and pulse rifles, but having to choose one, that sucks. But the idea, like you were saying, Parris, you were using one weapon, and when you closed in, you went to submachine gun, and that changed it. Like, that's what I'm looking forward to. I'm very much looking forward to, here's an auto rifle, here's a scout rifle. Is this a good combination? There's tons to look forward to as far as that's concerned. I'm really excited about that. Should I make it to the Destiny 2 reveal? I'm very excited about that north door being opened, even if it was just to watch it all get exploded. That's was a bummer, but I'm glad we finally got to see what was behind there. Visually speaking, I'm in love with the way the Titan looks. Like, I like that the Titan, I feel like those giant shoulder pads that each and every one of them have really set it apart from the other Guardians. I think that's really great. And I really want to know what they're going to do with the vault space. I need more vault space. But that was it. That's all I wanted to add to the show. So let's do shout-outs, starting with Parris.
I want to shout out you guys for inviting me onto this podcast and allowing me to talk about this game that I've been playing for the past 3 years, because it's been amazing. I have to get a shout out. There's just way too many people to name at that Destiny 2 event, that reveal event. There was a lot of hugs, and I got to meet Bife finally in person, and he's definitely a hugger. which caught me off guard. But just so many amazing people there I have to shout out. And I would say today has been an amazing day because I dipped my toe into putting a video on YouTube as a test. And thanks to More Console and Reddit, that video has exploded across the internet. I can't believe I had so many views on it. So I have to give a shout out to More Console and Reddit because it's just been amazing. And it has motivated me to do even more in this whole video space. So I'm excited. So again, thank you guys for having me on here. It's always a pleasure to be on here and talk Destiny with you and to actually play Destiny with you as well. And I'm looking forward to Destiny 2. And I can't wait to see everyone that's going to be at E3 as well. So I'll shut up now.
Excellent. I'm really glad that the video worked out for you. I remember in the chat, thinking like, anyone can do this. You can do this. You already got the voice, and you already have the determination. Like, you just need those skills to put video to audio, and you did it, and it really blew up. It really did. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
Gray.
Yeah, so I'm totally not going to creep Parris out like last time on the show, because if you listen back to the show, I was a little naughty at the end, I would say, towards Parris, which I'm not going to do this week. My shout out goes to SDF Lawn Boy. Finally, after years of trying, got to the lighthouse for the first time this past week. Got his 9 wins, but the part of it that blew my mind, he got the Scarab emblem on his first time ever getting 9 wins and getting him to go to the lighthouse. So that's a really rare emblem. It only drops after you've gotten either 9 or more wins. Players continue to play their card to try to get that emblem to drop. And that stinker got it on his very first time getting to 9 wins. So huge accomplishment. He was able to check that box off before Destiny 2 launches, and he was a happy boy. So congrats, Lawn Boy.
Congrats, Lawn Boy. Sharks.
First off, I want to say Remy came on because he doesn't trust me because I was going to do the wrap up for this podcast. But I am glad that Remy is alive and is going to do the wrap up for the show. My shout out actually goes to Ayana. She works for E3, and the reason I'm shouting her out is because being with Meta, you're supposed to get all this access so that you can talk with different people and network. And the meet at E3 part of it I couldn't do. There was something wrong. There was something bugged with all the information, and she worked it all out. And I filled out some of the stuff instantly. I started getting messages from people. So thank you very much, Anna, for being on top of it.
Excellent. Agrios.
My shout out this week, I forgot who my shout out goes to this week. Oh man, I totally forgot who I planned for my shout out this week. Oh no, I remember my shout out now. My shout out goes to is a trick shout out. That's fine. Thanks for being here, Parris. But my shout out goes to K-Dub and Parris, but for not for being here tonight, but for being such a great Guardian 1 representative at at these events and whatnot. You guys both do Guardian 1 proud, and get in there and find out the good info.
Well, thank you.
Excellent, Jez.
I was muted, so my shout out this week goes to Parris because every once in a while I have to have a shout out that goes to a real person, and I can't think of anyone better.
You realize you're the only, not only like the first real person in months to get a shout out from Jez, but also the only male.
Hey, I'll take it.
That's actually but no, I can't say that. There was one that was to a group of people that includes males, so I guess that would count.
Okay.
I guess that would count. Okay. My shout out this week goes to my daughter Lucy, whose birthday is tomorrow, and she's turning 5 years old.
Happy birthday, Lucy.
Happy birthday!
I just love her so much, and I hope I'm around for her until she doesn't need me anymore, because I don't know, it would kill me to die and leave her here all alone.
You'll survive, Darth Remy.
What's that?
You'll survive, Darth Remy.
And I hope so. I really hope so. And yeah, I love you, Lucy. I love you so much. And that wraps up episode 135. We would like to thank everyone listening for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed the show. If you have any suggestions for topics to be discussed on the show or have any comments on something that has already been covered, please leave them in the comments below or send them to feedback@guardian1.net, and we will see you next week.